apologize. Never mind. Or no, we're good. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so really briefly, before we start into our data analysis of 4.5s, kind of just want to talk about our PLC process as a fourth grade team. And we're just going to talk about what have we done, what has worked, what has not worked, and what are our next steps. All right, so we can kind of just chime in and just talk about what are some things that we've done, what has worked, and what hasn't worked. And don't all jump in at one time.
I think getting some time to look at the data, like when we were the first 4.5 and we realized, oh my goodness, what's happening. So we were able to take a look at the standards and see, and I guess kind of refined our instruction. That was very helpful in looking at the standards and breaking them apart.
Okay. Mr. Roach, what has been one thing from PLC that has been beneficial for you?
I actually enjoyed some of the conversations we ended up getting into, and then bouncing off ideas about where we need to head. Because sometimes during the course of a week or whatever, we don't really have a lot of time to sit down and talk to one another.
Right. And that was one of the things I was speaking with Dr. Rice about today. We are going to look at data, and I know Dr. Mosley is already talking to you about data during Monday Collab, and I know Ms. Mosley has talked to you guys already about data. So we're not going to go as deep, but there's a component that I do want to hit today, which is the lesson planning component, because on Mondays we meet for Collab. We talk about the standard. We don't necessarily go heavily into the activities until you get the lesson plans. Then you get the lesson plans, and you really don't have time or haven't had the opportunity to sit down and discuss it or embed some other ideas. And so we're going to do that today. And so, Ms. Davis, if you want to pick one of these things, is there anything, Ms. Davis, that you think will be our next steps as far as PLC? What would be meaningful for you as a teacher coming together for PLC?
Well, actually, the first thing I wanted to talk about, if it's okay,
yes,
is what's worked.
Okay.
And I like the creation of common assessments that we've been doing, because I think that really gives us a chance to find out as a team where the students are with respect to the standards that we're teaching. In respect to next steps, I'm very curious to see what we're going to discuss today, because I do think, yes, we do need time. As you say, we plan as a group, but the final lesson plans we don't see until the last minute.
Okay.
And we have to tweak it. So there isn't that time afterwards. So I think going forward, if we can maybe have those activities ready a little bit more in advance, including myself, I'm guilty of that, it will be very helpful.
Yeah, and I know Mondays it's like a catch-22. Yeah. Mondays are good because it's earlier in the week and it gives you more time, but then it's like you're just coming back from the weekend and you haven't started teaching your actual lesson plans for the week. So it's kind of either way. And then lastly, my favorite person in the world, Miss Arrington, anything you want to share about what has worked, what we've done, anything you want to hit on?
Can I say what's not worked for me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The common assessments during the weekly are a task, because it takes the students so long to complete one assessment. So if we assess them in multiple subjects, it pretty much takes up a whole day.
Okay.
So you don't have time to really teach anything else or to review or reflect on what you've done throughout the week if we do them on Fridays.
Okay.
And then we thought about splitting them throughout the week, but then you lose teaching time, say in reading if you do it on Wednesday, or in math. So it's kind of, even though some of them are only 5 questions, but sometimes it takes them a very long time to answer 5 questions. So we know that they don't have to be necessarily on the computer.
Right.
They can be, just quick assessments. But a lot of times our quick assessments are not common as the ones online.
So how can we change that? That's a great point. Okay, so thinking about like yesterday, we did a quick exit ticket as we closed out our math lesson. So it doesn't have to be a SchoolNet assessment, and maybe you can stagger them as we move forward. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and proceed and go ahead and jump into SchoolNet. But we'll start with 4th grade, some celebrations. So looking at your 4.5 data, Do you know which subject you guys did the best in? Huh? Math. Why is that?
Because the kids came with a great background of math as well as us teaching the students.
Mm-hmm. And I know that I think math is the subject that you guys dig into the most, or you devote more time to teaching math. So it's a lot of different pockets. It's, yes, they came prepared, but you guys spend a great deal of time with math, and so I think the fruits of your labor is really showing in your data. ELA, do you guys think you've made progress as far as ELA is concerned?
I was thinking, I was looking at the 4.5 in Q1. We've increased for every assessment that we've done. We're still a little bit below.
But you're showing progress. And so we're going to go ahead and we'll start with ELA because that was one of our focus areas. So, Rose, if you can pass out one of these to everybody. As a matter of fact, you guys did this already. With Dr. Mosley on Monday, did you talk about what subjects, where you guys are and where you need to go prior to benchmarks? We didn't write it. Can we spend like 3 minutes or so just doing that so we can make sure we're on the right track? And then this is the document that we're going to use, Ms. Davis, to record our remediation standards and share our instructional strategies and come up with a plan for instruction. So I'm going to go to ELA. All right, so looking at yellow, where we are, I'm going to start with rote, social studies. We have 2 weeks prior to benchmarks. Where are we and where do we need to go? What other standards do we still need to hit prior to benchmarks in social studies?
Well,
do I need to pull up the document?
no, I'm going through my brain right now.
Where are the...
I'm going to pull it up. Go ahead.
We are currently, I think most of us are in constitutional convention. I have gone back a little bit, reviewed declaration. What I've done is I've reviewed the Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, 3 documents comparing them, and now I'm at the Constitutional Convention. And then we need to be headed into the Bill of Rights, talking about what the first 10 amendments mean and how they have not changed since the institution of the Constitution. Then we need to be getting into the 3 branches of government.
Okay. So let's look.
And this is all before the end of the
benchmark, yes.
So.
And then talking about the main leaders, Madison, and I like what Dr. Rice did. She showed it to me yesterday. Madison, Washington, and Franklin.
So yesterday, Miss Arrington's class, she did, and I don't know if this is something that you guys all discussed. So when I went in, the kids were in groups. And so what they did first is they all researched an individual, a historical figure. And then they deemed one person as the expert. All right, so one person became the expert for the group. And then they rotated through. So, for instance, if we're a group of 4, Miss Arrington's the expert, she stays. And that expert taught every group that came to her. Okay? And I've seen this at RCA before. But at the last rotation, it is a good protocol.
Students who have tech lab will report to PE. Again, students who have the tech lab session today will report to PE instead.
And so what happens is the kids leave the expert and they go learn in other groups. When they come back to the expert, their job is to teach the expert what the expert missed because the expert did not rotate. Y'all following me? So it's actually good. And so instead of you standing there teaching something to the students taught each other. So the only thing I asked Ms. Arrington was, well, how did the expert become the expert? And then refresh my memory of what you said.
After they discussed, I let them decide who the expert would be.
So they discussed it.
Okay.
Okay.
I let them select it.
So they did the research themselves, and then you gave them guiding questions.
They talked about it. They answered the specific questions that I gave them, and then they, as a group, decided that, hey, Ms. Davis, you're a good speaker, or you found it, and they picked their own expert.
And I noticed that one group showed a brain prop video for their activity. So going back to, so I know you guys are hitting these major leaders now.
Yes.
I believe I've seen Articles of Confederation in the lesson plans for this week, correct?
Yes.
All right, so
Then we need to.
I would just say, too, I know based upon just experience with those benchmarks, they need to know who James Madison is what was his contribution? What was George Washington? Well, you know, more than just to be familiar with their names,
Right.
sort of along the lines I was telling
And that's what it
in
is.
third grade, because third grade they have to do these explore